So we've now seen each and every one of the nations over in Euro 2024 perform at least once, who of course blew you away and who of course has still got a lot of work to do. Well, in this video, we're going to find out. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today, we're going to take a look back at match number 1 and see which country, of course, performed way above expectations and which country actually has got a lot of work to do. We're going to get into it, all of it, in a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons. You know who you are. And again, if you do, smash the old subscribe, boys and girls. That's right. We're going to go from A all the way through to F. Each one of the nations are going to grade them from A to F to see, of course, which countries are doing great or on track, are playing well above their actual pay grade, and which countries are actually struggling at the moment. So let's get into it. Of course, big shout out again to the VIPs, the patrons. Smash the like. Can we get 50, 100 likes on this video? Will be absolutely fantastic. So here we go. Jumping into the old tier list. That's right. We're going to have a little look at each and every one of the countries one by one. So what better place to start than, of course, the Germans, of course. We're going to start with them. And I think they were, of course, fantastic. Excellent way to start the tournament, of course. 5-1 demolition job of the Scots. Now we've got to understand that it was only Scotland, but for what impressed me the most was the fact that there was 5 different goal scorers for the Germans on this one. Very exciting as well. Wirtz, Muisala look absolutely fantastic, and they've got it all looking very good in the early stages. But will that roll into match number 2? We'll see about that, because if they do put up another performance against the Hungarians, like what they did against Scotland, and the tongues will be wagging, of course. Let's take a look at the nation that they beat, of course, Scotland. Now, I had a little bit of optimism for them. I did not expect them to beat Germany at all. I thought it was going to be more like a 2-0. So when they come on the back of a 5-1 drubbing, it's not great, is it? So I'm going to put the Scots. Even though they lost really bad, and really need to show the Tartan Army what they're all about in their next game, a difficult one against the Swiss. Now let's take a look at their next opposition, Switzerland, who of course got themselves off to a fantastic start with a big, decent result against a lot of pundits, a lot of predictors out there tipping Hungary to go very, very far, and kind of didn't give Switzerland much credit. But for me, I think Switzerland really put a good statement of intent, at least to finish in the top 2 in this group. I think it was a B-rated performance for them. Of course, it was decent, good couple of goals difference between them. And I would say at this stage, you would say Switzerland are in the driving seat somewhat of Group A, because they beat a serious contender in Hungary, because it does look like most of the, if not all the nations will beat Scotland at the moment, unless they stand up and be counted for in the next one. So great result for the Swiss. As for the Hungarians, though, not great start for them so far. I'm going to put them down into D. I didn't have much hope for them, to be fair, but I thought they might grind out a draw against the Swiss to really put themselves in the mixer for qualification to the last 16. Let's hop on over now to, of course, Group B, and I think the big winners realistically were Spain. They really put on a tremendous performance, and not only did they get a win, they got a good win against a sizable competitor in the shape of Croatia. So I think that was an A-grade performance. I think they've started off well, and I think they can only get better, to be fair. And I was worried about the lack of forwards, lack of striker, but Morata looked decent. They did take care of business against a Croatian side, of course, who've been there or thereabouts in recent competitions, but to me, are very underwhelmed by them. I'm going to put them in the D column for the moment. I thought they might grind out, at least make the game a little bit competitive, but to be fair, I think it was oceans apart between these two sides. Meanwhile, in the other game, Italy, they got themselves a victory, albeit just, against an Albanian side. It wasn't good. It wasn't the greatest start for them in the tournament. So 2-1 win. They had to come from behind, so I'll give them a little bit of credit for that. But ultimately, it was a kind of mediocre kind of performance for them in the opening match day. As for the Albanians, they do come into this now on the back of a kind of a decent performance against Italy. It wasn't, of course, a result. It wasn't for a victory, but it wasn't too shabby. I'm going to put them in the D. It wasn't that woeful. They give a good account themselves, but ultimately they did lose, so we can't really give them too much plaudits for that. Let's hop on over then to England's group, and we'll start Denmark with the Three Lions with their win, albeit just over Serbia. Again, I don't think it was that good. It kind of left a little bit of an underwhelming feeling in regards to the English fans. I don't think they're completely happy with their performance, but they did get the result needed. And again, you're just going to I'm just grading you on your week's performance, your matchday performance. It was kind of meh, very vanilla, not really much to get excited about. You're not going to go start shouting it's coming home after that. I think it was very much just get over the line, get it done, get the 3 points, and away we go. They did take on Serbia, who did kind of fight back a little bit in this back end of the game, but ultimately they lost. I didn't expect them to get anything out of this game, to be fair. I thought England would win and would win comfortably, but Serbia, just made it a little bit awkward, to say the least. The Danes, though, what can we say about the Danes? Goodness gracious me. Against Slovenia, a nation I thought this would be a cruise for the Danes. So, I'm gonna put them down here into the F column. It's not great. I know it's not a defeat, but it's, I had high expectations for the Danes, and I still do technically have high expectations for them, but they started off pretty woeful, and they need to up their efforts in their second one. As for the flip side, Slovenia, wow, I think they were great. They gave Denmark a real good account for themselves, and I'm putting them up there as high as B for their performance in that 1-1 draw against Denmark. Let's switch on over to, of course, Group D now, and let's start with, of course, the heavyweights, La France. And again, the French picking up a victory in their opening match against Austria, but it was also very, very meh, wasn't it? It wasn't that exciting. I think they were a little bit fortunate in the end to get all 3 points, and I could say the same for Austria. I don't think I was giving them much hope in that one, and I'd actually give them, even though it was they did lose, I'm going to kind of put it on par performance-wise with the French. They were very hard done by to lose that game. Performance-wise, I think the Austrians deserve a bit of credit at the end of it. I think we were all expecting them to lose. They did lose. The French did win, but it wasn't really a German or a Spanish kind of victory where they blew their opposition out of the water and ran away with it. As for the Dutch, again, got over the line in the end. I can't really get too excited with that performance from the Dutch either. I thought they were a little fortunate because Poland, again, gave them a little bit of a scare, and they had to fight back and grind out the 2-1 win over the Poles. The Poles, on the flip side, though, I was a little bit underwhelmed by them, but they give us a little bit food for thought. Despite no Lewandowski, they did score. They troubled the Dutch, and they made it hard work in the end. Now, of course, I was kind of semi-cheering on for the Dutch, to be fair. Sorry for the Poles. I thought they could surprise us all with a cheeky little victory. So I'm going to put the Poles in a D grade at the moment for that performance. But we are still kind of lacking some superstars. So let's, of course, add one to that A column. Goodness gracious me. What can we say about the Romanians? They absolutely stunned us all. Performance of the week. A cracking 3-0 win over the Ukrainians. I wasn't sure what we were going to get with Romania, but they came, they delivered, and they were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. As for the Ukrainians, I know they've got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes outside the footballing world, but that performance was woeful, and I've got to say, you're down there with the Scots and the Danes for one of the performances, or the woeful performances of the week. So you can't get any worse, Scotland. You can't get any worse, Denmark, and you cannot get any worse, Ukraine, of course. Belgium say, hold my bloody beer. Goodness gracious me, what went wrong with the Belgians? Of course, they tried. They had a couple of goals disallowed. I think it was a little hard done by on at least one of those goals, but performance levels, I think they were very underwhelming, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm gonna also whack you down there as well. I thought, you're coming here hotly fancied, haven't tasted defeat under your new coach. You've got all the big boys playing, De Bruyne, you've got Lukaku, and you've got Doku as well, an explosive winger. Surely you're going to take care of business against Slovakia. No, you didn't. You failed. And of course, causing the first major shock of this tournament. And on the flip side, well done, Slovakia. What a performance against the Belgians. Yes, a little bit fortunate in the end, but I got to give you all the credit in the world. I thought your performance was great. That Duda was fantastic in midfield. I thought you had some real standouts as well. And I've got a good, I was impressed. I was impressed by Slovakia. And of course, you look the part. Finally, we go into Group F. Of course, we did see the conclusion of the games over in Group F, and Turkey take a bloody bow. What a thrilling game that was, end-to-end stuff. So credit for Turkey for the victory. They were good, they were strong, they got some banging goals, and of course they look decent, of course, but we can only judge their performance against their opposition. Same can be said for Germany against Scotland. Of course, were Scotland that bad, or were Germany that good? And again, same can be said for this one. Were Georgia that bad, or were Turkey that good? But for me, Turkey were decent. They've given me some food for thought, because that Group F performance by the Portuguese and the Czechs was a little bit meh when you, of course, come after the back of that thrilling encounter between Turkey and Georgia. And of course, Georgia come into this, we all expected them to lose, right? We all expected them to lose, but they gave a good account of themselves. They scored a goal, they troubled the Turkish, and for me, even though they lost, I'm going to give them a C grade performance for that. They were one of the most exciting teams so far in this tournament, so well done you guys. And then finally, the Portuguese came out on top with a rudimentary victory over the Czechs. It was hard work, hard fought, lots of chances. Of course, again, having to come from behind, like the Dutch, like, of course, the French. Not the French, like the Dutch, like the Italians. I don't know where to put them at the moment. I think I'm going to put them into a B grade. I think they were okay. We all expected them to win. They did get a couple of goals, and they did fight. They fought their asses off to get the victory. It wasn't stellar. It wasn't A grade, but it was just enough to kind of keep them in the spotlight. And as for the Czechs, what did we realistically expect from them? I thought they were gonna lose this game, but they were, for the most part, I think they were a little bit hard done by not to get anything out of this match. Ultimately, they did lose though, so I'm probably gonna have to squeeze you down into the D grade if I'm completely honest with you. So that's my match day number 1 rating so far. So take a bow, Germany, Spain, Romania, and Slovakia. Well done, of course, Switzerland, Slovenia, Turkey, and Portugal. As for the rest of yours, pull your socks up, get going in match number 2, and show us what you're all about. That's, of course, my take on match number 1. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who was your performers of the week? Who, of course, needs to dig deep and get themselves back into the thick of things? For me, I'm very upset by the Scots, the Danes, Ukrainians, and, of course, Belgium. They've got it all to do in match number 2, and we'll be back for it next time around. But until then, we are done.